So many people dream about turning something that they love into their full-time job, but very few actually do it. But my friend Jake Hubman, he pulled it off. What started as a side hobby talking about fantasy football with no audience, no fancy setup, and no guarantee that it would work turned into Fantasy Headliners, a multi-stream business with YouTube at the center, products, partnerships, and a massive community behind it. And today, it's a channel with over 250,000 subscribers, thousands of videos, and multiple income sources. And in this conversation, we're unpacking how that journey happened, what it really takes to grow on YouTube, and what creators can learn from playing the long game. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome back to Making Varsity. My name is Brad Chandler. I'm your host, and today I am with the czar, the king, the sultan of fantasy football, the CEO of Fantasy Headliners, my man, Jake Hubman. Jake, what's going on, my man?
Man, Brad, what's going on? The football season is over, so I can finally breathe again. I'm sleeping for the first time in a few months, and it was another great year, but I appreciate the introduction there.
Absolutely, man. I know it is a hustle for about half of the year there, about 24 weeks, a few weeks leading up to the season. And then, of course, the 18-week regular season of the NFL. And man, just for everybody that is new to Fantasy Headliners that may not be aware of who you are, give us just a little bit of a context, just a snapshot. What is Fantasy Headliners? What's it about? Where are you at today? And then we're going to talk a little bit about some YouTube hacks and growth strategies and a number of things. So just give people a little context at first.
For sure. I mean, we're a solely fantasy football based channel that's really built around community first. We want it to feel like you're just hanging out with the boys. You're not listening to a talking head talking about things that they really don't know anything about, right? There is no such thing as an expert in fantasy football because no one can see the future. So like we just want this to be an informational channel to where you can come and hang out and talk and be a part of the community and not just a quote unquote viewer, right? We're trying to have a community type feel, not just maximize views or clicks, right? We're trying to really focus on the community aspect over here on this channel. That's something we wanted to do from the very beginning. When we first started the channel, my biggest goal was to respond to every comment on every video. Now, obviously, as you grow, that gets a little bit tougher to do, but I mean, we did that for the first few years and it really helped the initial growth. The channel right now continues to grow. We're over 257,000 subscribers, getting right around 12 to 15 million views a year. We've done over 3,500 videos since we've started. So, I mean, it's been something that we've gone at since 2017.
So 9 seasons, over 250,000 subscribers, millions of views, 3.5 thousand videos. I mean, just the output of that is... It really is insane. And just getting the opportunity to work with your channel this year was really a learning experience for me. And I said yes to it, first of all, because you're my friend, but second of all, because I'm like, I want to learn from these guys. Like those numbers are nothing to sneeze at, like the scale of that. And then the output, I mean, during the season, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, we're putting out about 15 to 20 videos a week.
Yep,
right?
A week.
And
yep.
Just cranking them out. And I think there's a lot of things I want to talk about because we're going to talk about the team as well, because one of the things I tell clients is that any successful YouTube channel or podcast I know, there's no such thing as somebody doing it solo. There's a team behind it. And yours is no different. And I think even the growth trajectory of it. And I want you to also, let's talk a little bit behind the curtain on behind the business of YouTube, because Fantasy Headliners is primarily YouTube, but there's other pieces to the business. So talk a little bit about the draft guide and some of those pieces and those other revenue streams.
For sure. Yeah. Like you mentioned, we have a draft guide we've had for 5 years now. And that was just like something we came up with sitting on a couch. We're like, I wonder if anybody would be interested. And the next thing you know, it's selling thousands of copies a season. So between that, advertising deals is a huge thing on YouTube. I know a lot of people think that you just turn on the camera, you record a 20-minute video, and YouTube makes you a millionaire. And like, that's not the case. That's not how it happens. YouTube takes their cut of a lot of things. So advertising revenue is huge for sure. That's definitely something that we are reliant upon. Do I wish we were reliant upon it? No, not really. Like that's not my favorite aspect of the business, but it is an absolute necessity if you want to have a team, like you mentioned, if you want to pay employees for the work that they're doing and pay them a fair, wage for the time and effort they're putting in, you got to have stuff like that. And as much as I hate it, it's just one of those necessary evils in this business. But yeah, the draft guide is huge for us. Ad revenue. You still do get AdSense off of YouTube. Don't let me make it seem like you don't get anything from YouTube, because for sure that is a huge part of the equation as well. But it's more so community involvement, right? We mentioned that before, and having members on YouTube is probably like a cheat code that a lot of people don't really pay too much attention to, because it's all kind of funneled into YouTube, right? It's all what you're getting paid off of YouTube, but YouTube members, that's a way for you to be sustainable year round, right? So we have, obviously, during the NFL season, a lot more members that will become a member of the channel to get access to our Discord. It's football season, things are cranking, it's busy. In the off season, there are members that leave. It's not football season. They're not going to pay for a membership year round. I totally understand that, but the people that do stick around, the diehards in the community, those are the ones that are helping us bridge that gap from January to August, right? Because our business is only 4 or 5 months long. So there's a big stretch, 5, 6, 7 months of the year where we probably don't make very much money at all, because it's not football season, because we are so football centric, but we have to capitalize on it during the season. And that goes back to what you said before about us doing 13 to 15 to 17 videos a week, because that's go time for us, right? That's when we have to capitalize on it. That's where we have to make the sacrifices, because we know that if we want to have a sustainable year-long business, that's just part of what we have to do.
And I think the real success metric for fantasy headliners, just from the outside perspective looking in, is the amount of diehard trust that your community has with you.
Mm-hmm.
It is remarkable. Like, you see it in the comments, you see it in the Discord, you see it in the hate. I mean, I showed up on that channel and people were like, who's this guy?
Yeah,
Like, I don't trust him.
Yep.
And that, I took that not as an insult. I took that as a sign of respect for you and Kyle and Taylor and all of you, like what you've built. And I remember mid-season, we were texting late one night about a video edit. And I was like, all right, man, you going to like hit the hay, or you like going to bed? You're like, nah, I'm going to be up to like 3 a.m. responding to comments. And I said, what? What do you mean? And he's like, yeah, I mean, I try to like get to every single comment. And watching the Discord, and for those of you that may not be familiar, Discord is basically, it's like a big group chat, and there's topics. It's arranged by like hashtags and things. And there are thousands of people, thousands of members that are part of that. And so it's like, you're not just dispensing information, like there really is a tribe around it. And that is just one of the things that, like, I mean, and we'll start from the early days as well, but talk a little bit about just that community aspect of it. I mean, how do brands, channels, creators build that kind of rabid trust with a base? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
because
I mean,
them dudes are like Jake stands, man. like let's go.
Yeah, I got people behind me if we're going to war somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, there's some people back there, but I think that all comes from the very beginning. Like I said, we responded to all the comments, but it's because I wanted to give the people like what they want. And what do people want? They want an outlet to go enjoy a game that they've played maybe for a year, maybe for 20 years. But I think that we can both agree that right now, online, social media is probably about as toxic as it gets. And I'm too old for that, dude. Like, I'm not one of those younger guys out there just sacrificing whatever I got to sacrifice to get clicks and views. Like, I'm sure there are things out there that I could do differently that could get us more views and subscribers, but that's not my lifestyle, so I'm not going to go that direction.
Yeah, you're not a
So-
hot take guy. Like in a
No.
sports environment that's very talking head, first take, you're not a hot take guy.
No, I don't. Because I don't want to. I'm not trying to get have something right 1 out of every 20 times. I'm trying to be right 16 out of 20 times, and that's my goal. And having people that understand that from the very beginning, and then staying true to that, even when you do start to grow, that right there is the biggest thing. Because I think a lot of people find, that they stay true to themselves when they have 1,000 subscribers, but by the time they hit 50, 60, 70, they start to change because the growth has changed them, and now they're just trying to it's like it's an addiction, right? They're trying to feed it. They're trying to get more and more and more, where if you just stay true to who you are, who cares at what the final subscriber count total is at the end, as long as you're really you. Like, you don't have to go on I don't have to turn a camera on every day and pretend to be somebody else. Like, that's not, I don't want to have to live like that. And I think people see that through the camera, and then they see the realness, and it's just, a whole team thing where anybody who's on camera is the same way. That's why when you join Brad, I was like, don't change anything. If you want to say something, say it. If you want to joke about something, joke about it. Like, I don't care, because I don't want to have robots on the screen, right? Because you can turn on the TV and watch robots. Yeah, I want to turn on YouTube, and I want to have like real conversations and real experiences, and I want to feel like the person is actually talking to me and not at me. And that's kind of what we just did here from the very beginning. And I think people really appreciate that. And then giving them a space that is non-toxic, because we allow zero toxicity in our Discord. You come in there and you have any ill words for anyone, not just me, anyone else in the community, like, I'll kick you out. Like, I don't even care. I'm not willing to sacrifice $5 a month just so somebody can be disrespected. Like, that's not who I am. I'd rather not have the $5 a month. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. And there's probably times where I handle things the wrong way, but I'm very protective. I'm like a big dad. You know what I mean? I'm protecting the family, and I don't have time for all that nonsense over a game that's meant to be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it was so fun because you warned me like ahead of the season. You're like, hey man, just so you know, like, expect a little bit of heat.
You're gonna get some.
And the first couple of weeks were so fun because I don't think I was prepared. And I laughed. Thankfully, I have a thick skin. I was in ministry for 15 years, so like, I'm good. But like, oh man, some of my favorite comments, like one of them, one guy, he was like, this guy looks like his mom paid the neighborhood kids to be his friends. And I was like, what? Like,
Wow.
You don't know me. And then there were some fun ones too. Like, I have this Cam Newton jersey back here because like the first couple of weeks, people were like, it doesn't really look like a football set. So I was like, I'll just put my Cam Newton jersey up. And somebody was like, I don't know, like week 8, week 9 was like, hey, is that Cam Newton jersey dry yet? Like, it's been
hanging up forever.
Been hanging dry or whatever. Like, I don't know. I wore a quarter zip one week and I got like melted snowman. I'll tell you the comment I got more than anything, and this blew my mind. People were like, I did not have Gary Owens giving me fantasy advice on my bingo card. And I was like, Gary, really? Does that check out, bro?
No, it doesn't. But I've been told that I remind people of Seth Rogen for the last 7 years. I get it so much that I even contacted Seth Rogen one year and sent him all the clips of it because I was like, I don't see it. People who know me don't see it, but somehow it translates onto YouTube as people think I'm relatable to Seth Rogen. So I don't get it either.
And what stuff like that does for me is like, I love to kind of like feed it a little bit. And so one of the things we started early in the season was I just started calling Travis Swift Kelce. We hyphenated his name. I don't know. No one noticed this on the channel, but from the get, I started sewing in Taylor Swift references to every single Travis Kelce breakdown. No one said anything.
No one
we
noticed
were
it.
trying to make it as obvious as his picture was literally the wood log emoji. And I'm literally saying, yep, they're going to Denver this week. There's a lot of bad blood between these teams. Or, he had a rough game last week. Well, let's see if he can shake it off. Or, hopefully he can turn the blank page. I mean, I'm making it as obvious as possible. No one got it because, listen, the fantasy headliners community, they are dedicated to the craft, baby. They're trying to
care
win
about
the
Taylor
chip.
Swift. No, they don't even, they probably don't even know those songs. Even if, they could probably watch this and still don't even realize that those are songs or lyrics in songs. Probably not.
100%. I love it so much. So, I mean, let's talk a little bit about that criticism and that hate, because I was working with another client that we just launched last week, and they had a reel really outperform on Instagram. I mean, about 250,000 views. And a lot of the comments, there's some negative comments and some hate in it. What advice would you give to creators that are getting into a space like this, who might be kind of struggling with some of that criticism, struggling with negative comments? I know you said I don't always handle it the best, but what do you say to people? What's some of the advice you would give to creators struggling with negative comments?
The first thing that's really helped me out is having the members on the team that I have, because they've helped change my mindset a little bit, because I really struggled with that at first. Like I still struggle with it, if I'm being completely honest, because I don't understand disrespecting another person over a game. Like to me, that just doesn't compute in my head. Now, I do know that with success comes haters, and it's impossible. And I hear people say all the time, "Oh, just don't give them any attention. Just ignore them. That you have them because you guys have found success." And I get all that for sure. It doesn't make it any easier. Having guys on the team like Kyle and Taylor, they're kind of like my go-between, right? So if I see something I want to pop off, I can just tell one of them and they'll go handle it responsibly, because I'm in my mid 40s. I'm not about that young type of lifestyle. I don't compute well with some of that stuff, but it's going to be there. And if you want this to be something you're going to be successful at, you have to know that going into it, and you have to be ready for it, because if it catches you off guard, you have no chance, right? It'll swallow you up in a heartbeat. So you have to know going in, there's going to be some hate. When I started off, I didn't expect it to grow into anything, so I didn't even think about it. I'm like, nobody's going to watch this. I have no idea I don't even know how to record anything. Like, this isn't going to be something that people watch. And then as it started to turn into that, and you're going to get haters regardless, especially in a business like this, where each and every week we're going to get some right and we're going to get some wrong. We may get 20 things right and one thing wrong, and there will be lists of hate about the one thing wrong that we got. That's just part of the business. Right now, it depends on the genre that you're in and the type of content that you're making. We put a lot of time and effort and passion just trying to help people win a game. So that's where I struggle with it. And a lot of people want to have some controversial topics and stuff out there. You're going to have to expect it, right? And if you expect it, I guess you can live with it a little bit better. You know what I mean? If you know that it's coming, when you see it, it is a little bit easier just to scroll past. Try not to respond to it, because once you respond to it, I didn't know this going into it. Maybe you know this, Brett, you're younger than I am. Maybe you're hip and you know this. People read the comment section on YouTube videos. Like, I've never done that. And I don't understand people who just as the video is playing, they're scrolling the comment section, and hate breeds hate, right? So if you start a fight, it's going to attract attention, and it's only going to attract more hate. So it's best to just leave it alone and let them speak into the void. I cannot tell you how many people I have just muted or hid from the channel on YouTube, because if you come to the channel and your first thing on the channel is hate, typically I will respond one time, and I try to be as professional as possible. Try. That's definitely a hard word for me, but I'll give them the opportunity to not act like an idiot. If they respond back with something that is, disrespectful, I just hide them from the channel now. Like, I hide them and forget they even exist. You know what I mean? Because that's not what we're trying to build. And if that's not what I'm trying to build, I'm not going to put a whole lot of effort into it. I'll give everybody one chance to let them know that they're acting this way. And if they come back with something disrespectful or hateful, like, they're done. You know what I mean? I have no more time for that. I'll just hide them from the channel. They can't leave comments anymore. And honestly, I think a lot of people worry about that because it could lead to dislikes on videos. Dislikes don't matter. They don't matter. To an extent. Now, if you go out there and you get 10,000 dislikes, yeah, that's probably going to hurt a little bit. But you get a couple trolls leaving dislikes, it's not going to hurt your video.
Yeah. And I love that, because with all of that said, just kind of how vigilant you are about protecting the culture of the channel, because that's really what you're talking about here, right? It's not just about, like you said, clicks and views, but you're really building a culture and a community around this game that we love, right? And that's awesome. The flip side to that is that I have also watched you respond very humbly to feedback, especially from your day ones. And case in point, I think that you guys tried a different format with the start sit videos early in the year, and week one was like, we
Not
don't like
enjoyable.
this,
Yeah.
right? Talk to me a little bit about the difference between, like you said, those trolls, kind of like the haters versus, okay, we're going to really listen to our community and our day ones on feedback. When do you know to like make a pivot like that?
I think it all depends. One, it's about volume, right? If it's one person complaining, you're always you could have the greatest video on any genre, on any channel, and there's gonna be somebody that complains. It's just the way it is. If you have hundreds of people complaining, some of which have been around for a long time, it's really just time to reevaluate, right? We put a lot of time and effort into making changes for the 2025 season based off of feedback that we got from people. So we made changes, we made graphics, we made new videos, we made new schedules. I mean, we put a ton of time and effort, and week one happened and the masses didn't like it. Well, how do we make both people happy? We changed it because some of our members and longtime people, this is what they wanted. So like, what do we do now? Because we don't want to alienate them, but we also can't sacrifice tens of thousands of views because this isn't what the masses, they may not be diehards, but they may be the people that watch every single season. They may not comment, they may not even subscribe, but they're a part of the numbers that we put together each and every year. So it was I think we didn't sleep for like 3 days where we went through and reverted back to everything we had done in the past. The only difference we did is the changes that we made, we put into its own separate video. So if the community wanted that, the people who wanted that still got that information. It was just in a separate video. And then we went back to the normal cookie cutter type aspect that we had in the other show that so many people just loved over the years. I mean, we started back in 2017. So like back then there wasn't a whole lot of really good fantasy content. Like it was a bunch of cheesiness out there. So you were able to do things first, and being able to do things first is gold on YouTube because everybody can go out there and make a channel on fantasy football or on podcasts or what. It doesn't matter. If you're speaking the same thing as everyone else, why are they going to watch you? Like what draw do you have? You have to do something different. And if you don't do something different, you won't stand out. You'll just fade away. You'll get 1,000 subscribers and you won't grow. You have to find a way to be different than everyone else. And we try that every single year. We'll put little things out there where we'll try things and see what works and see what doesn't. Sometimes it fails miserably like it did in week one. You just figure out how to pivot and move forward. And the rest of the season, this was our most successful season we've ever had overall numbers wise. So, I mean, yeah, week one was, stressful, but I think the people also saw like, dang, they're going to listen to what we say. Like, this isn't just, I think a lot of people will, because of some of the personalities on YouTube, the larger names, they probably don't pay attention, right? But in my opinion, 257,000 isn't a lot. Like, that's a lot grand scheme of things, but I mean, we're not tens of millions, you know what I mean? So like, we still listen to people, and I read comments on videos, and like, we're involved with all that stuff. So listening to the people when they have legitimate concerns is one thing. If somebody comes up and they leave a comment that says this sucks, probably not going to get a whole lot of my mental space. You know what I mean? If somebody comes in and says, man, I really enjoyed last season because of A, B, C, and D. I like this new stuff, but it's not as good. All of a sudden, I'm going to pay attention because they put thought into that comment, which means there's probably something there, and they're not going to be the only one that thinks that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that trust and that really seems to be the theme here. Really permeates throughout the community, because when you guys did make that pivot, you saw the response of everybody of saying, hey, thank you. And I think that's why you've been able to build such a dedicated tribe that knows, and I mean, even just from the tactical aspect of like fantasy football, like again, you look at ESPN or, FS1 or like these channels that have, certain shows have like their favorite players, and you're unemotional. Like if somebody's not performing, you're like, I'm dropping them. Like, and it is what has made you right a lot of times, because I mean, you've got a few of your favorite players, but even if they're underperforming, I mean, that you're not afraid to drop them, and I think that's definitely a key, and it's why like a lot of our guys like win their leagues, and
Well, a lot of people are scared to make decisions like that because if they're wrong, it's going to have a negative impact.
right. And we even, I mean, in our format, we do hits and misses. We actually call attention to, hey, this is where this is where we missed it, and I think even just that little bit of ownership like goes a long way with people, and it makes it a lot of fun too.
Well, I don't watch anybody else, honestly, if I'm being honest, because I don't want other people's thoughts and
To seep in.
analysis on players to affect my thoughts, because my thoughts is what's gotten us to where we are. Not that they're going to be right or wrong. I mean, they're going to be wrong at times for sure, but I don't know of anyone else that talks about their misses, because people don't want to call attention to the negative because they're afraid they'll lose a subscriber. That's just not how we don't have those worries over here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What if I told you that your voice could be the most powerful asset in your business? And what better way to use your voice than starting a podcast? In fact, a comprehensive podcast strategy could be the missing link in your business's marketing mix. But how do you get started, and how do you make sure that it actually works? That's where my team at Made by Varsity can help. Made by Varsity is a full-service podcast agency that helps brands and entrepreneurs establish trust, build connections, and grow their business. So whether you need coaching and consulting to get set up, or you need turnkey solutions to manage and market your show from week to week, we've got you covered. Just head over to madebyvarsity.com and book a call with me today. All right, back to the episode. So I want you to take us back to the beginning, 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Where did the idea for Fantasy Headliners come from? You didn't just jump right into this. And I hate to tell you this, it's probably going to make you cringe, but I went back to the channel, and there's a really fun thing you can do with channels where you can sort it oldest to newest. And you see Jake and another co-host. It looks like they're in a break room around a Rubbermaid table and some cheap podcast mics, and it is, to say it kindly, lo-fi, right?
Yeah.
It was a start, and I want you to just take us back to where did the idea for Fantasy Headliners come from, and then what gave you the confidence or audacity to start something like that from scratch in 2017?
Okay, so that's a great story. I had a very good paying job. I had a career job. I was not looking for something else at all, but I got a year-end review from my boss saying, hey, you need to be more comfortable in corporate speaking meetings because you're going to start leading certain meetings each and every month. And that just, I brought that home and it was sitting on the counter. My wife read it and she saw it and she's like, why don't you just start a YouTube channel talking about football? And I was just like, she's like, you love football. You talk about it all the time. Maybe being on camera will just give you that added, bit of courage or whatever to go out there and just be more comfortable with it. And I was like, fine, we'll do it. It was a coworker with me, Mac. So we started talking football. I had no idea what I was doing. Dude, I was filming on like it was like a 2005 Sony Handycam or something like that. I don't know what it was. I had no idea how to hook it up. I had no idea how to attach the microphones to the video. I was recording into computers where I didn't know where the files were going. Like, I had no idea what I was doing. But we knew what we were talking about. We just weren't comfortable with it, right? So, I mean, it just took a lot of time. Obviously, the first year, we didn't get hardly any views. But at that time, I wasn't worried about subscribers and I wasn't worried about views. That was not my goal. My goal was just to get better at something. And I have a very addictive personality. Like, I will obsess about whatever. If I'm going to go buy a car, if I'm going to go buy a new laptop, I will sit there and research the nuts off of it. You know what I mean? Because like I want to know everything about it. And this just turned into a little bit of an obsession, right?
So,
because
just pause really quick. Give us just a kind of the lay of the lands where you're like, oh, there wasn't that many views. How many views are we talking about?
Less than 1,000 a video during the NFL season. So that's like peak season. You should be getting thousands and thousands of views. We were getting in the hundreds. So I'm talking probably in the neighborhood of 500 views a video-ish. And we weren't even monetized. Like we weren't even making anything off it because we hadn't hit the threshold of 1,000 subscribers and your view time and all that kind of stuff yet. So we weren't making anything. I didn't make anything on YouTube for 2 years, but I treated it like a full-time job. And I worked 2 full-time jobs. I had my normal day job and I worked YouTube every other hour that I was home. And I experimented, right? And that's the biggest thing where so many people are scared about it. But it was also a product of the time, right? In 2017, there was a lot of low quality stuff out there. Like I had time to pick and choose and try this. Dude, some of my worst videos, I was trying to learn how to green screen. I had no idea what I was doing. My face looked like I had been like on the surface of the sun because the color scheme was just off so bad. But like I was like experimenting. I was trying what works, what doesn't work. Nowadays, as much as I hate to admit it, you don't have that opportunity anymore because there is so much high quality, high production level, entertainment out there that if you come out there with a 720p camera now, you aren't going to make it. Like, I'm sorry, unless it's like something out of this world crazy, it's going to be really hard, right? And being a little bit newer to the space back in 2017, I had the ability to make those choices and changes and just play around with it. Now it's a lot of research. It's a lot of dedication. Unfortunately, it's probably a little bit more money up front now. And I'm not talking thousands. I will tell everybody on earth right now, I run this entire channel, well, my side of it, on a Brio 4K webcam. That's what almost all my videos are on. That thing is like, what, $150? You don't need a $10,000 camera to be successful on YouTube. You just don't have to, but you have to do the research now and you have to put yourself in a position to stand out next to everyone else everybody wants to be a YouTube guy, right? Everybody wants to be famous on YouTube. And like, that's just what everybody wants to do these days. And you have to find a way to stand out now.
So tell me a little bit about, you mentioned the obsession. And I've seen this from you, the things that you guys think through, and even just kind of diving into like the math and magic of the channel, because obviously you have dynamic hosts. Obviously there's great personalities. Obviously there's research that goes into like the actual game analytics. But I want to talk like YouTube nerd stuff for a second. What are some of the things that you obsess over? Are you talking about titles, thumbnail designs, all of it? Like, give me some specific examples of when you say experimenting, what do you mean?
Well, now titles and thumbnails are super important. For us, they're very repetitive. So it's a little bit different because I know each and every week people are going to click on certain video titles during the NFL season. Now in the off season, probably not going to happen very much, but I think a lot of people don't pay attention to their thumbnails and titles enough. Keywords, internet SEO, YouTube SEO, the search engine optimization, like that stuff matters. If you really want to be found on YouTube, you have to be easily defined by YouTube. We are easily defined as a fantasy football channel. So when the fantasy football season is here and the keywords are popping, we're at the top of all the searches. That's because that's what we are. If I put out a video right now about my test scores on the Wonderlic from the NFL Combine, it's going to get very little views because even though I have
you in a sandbox,
it has me stuck in the fantasy football sandbox, which is okay. But you have to know that as a creator, find what your sandbox is, because if you're just a little bit of everything, YouTube doesn't know where to put you, right? So it's just like, well, maybe they're a little bit this and maybe a little bit this. You're getting little pieces of everything. Dive into the pie that you want to be in and go all in on it, because that's where they're going to clearly define what you are and send you to that group of people quicker. So you'll grow faster if you're going to people who actually want the content you're making, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, selfish question here. Like, what would you say to, like a creator who's just interested in kind of business entrepreneurship? I mean, one of the things I have an eclectic array of like different interests, and I love hearing stories like this about like how businesses are built. And I'm particularly interested in people just starting out, especially those like first 2 years of your career, like moving from freelancer. And we'll talk a little bit about how this evolved from kind of a side hustle hobby, which was like really meant to improve your speaking skills, to you making the leap. But I mean, again, I'd be remiss to not on my own platform ask you for some of that advice. Like, what would you say in kind of that business entrepreneurship type of a space? Like, what, how do you get that sandbox right? Does that make sense?
The biggest thing is to keep it on something that you're interested in, or that you yourself can live with day in and day out. I talk football every single day, 24/7 for 7 months of the year. If I didn't enjoy that, this wouldn't be fun for me. This would be a job again. And I think a lot of people who want to be that entrepreneur, especially on YouTube, they're trying to get away from having that day-to-day 9 to 5 type job, right? They want to have the ability to go out there and create and do it on their schedule and do things that they want to do. But if you're picking things that you don't love or enjoy and you're just trying to capitalize on views or clicks, it's going to turn into a job super fast. And that is okay for some people, because like maybe that's just what they want. Maybe they just want to capitalize on that kind of stuff, and they don't care that they feel like they're in a 9 to 5. But if we're a typical creator, they want to step away from that lifestyle, and they want to have the autonomy to do whatever it is that they want to do or whatever they want to create. So you have to find that one thing. It doesn't matter if it's planting flowers. It doesn't matter if it's cooking desserts. It doesn't matter. There is an audience out there for everything. All you have to do is, understand what it is that you want. What would you want to watch? Because everybody's different. Everybody has different likes, and not everybody obsesses over football like I do, but it doesn't matter. You can obsess over working on your car outside. And as long as you put together something that is meaningful, it's educational, it's entertaining to watch, you're going to get people who also love to work on their car to come and watch you. Now, if you talk about football one week and then you talk about your car the next week and then you're mowing your grass the third week, like, who are you appealing to, right? Like, because maybe that person loved your video about the car, but now they see you mowing grass and they have no interest in it. So they're like, well, I'm not coming back here because this guy's just all over the place. Where if you just took a little bit of extra time and did, hey, I'm going to do one channel on automotive. I'm going to do one channel on, start up multiple channels. If you have multiple interests, start up multiple channels and just do each interest on each channel. Like, that is the easiest way to grow quickly, is just to really, I hate to say pigeonhole yourself, but it's like if you want to grow quickly and have success, you kind of need to, right? Because if you're all over the place, YouTube is, even though AI is improving and the algorithms are all over the place, it's hard for them to know who to send the audience to. And if an audience is confused, they're not going to be engaged.
100%. And I mean, coming back to some of those early days when you kind of decide to go all, take this step with fantasy headliners, and my friend Derek, he's a creator and growing on Instagram. And one of the things he says often is like, first they'll call you cringy, then they'll call you creative. I would love to know, what were some of your buddies saying? Like, oh, Jake's got his little YouTube channel. Like, I want to know, like, what the people in your real life were saying when they realized, wait, you're staying up till 1 a.m., 2 a.m. making fantasy football content, and 37 people are watching it?
What are you doing?
What a nerd.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
Those conversations happen because, like I said, I had a full-time job where it was a career-type job. I moved states for this job. Like, I was invested in this job, and everybody kind of knew at the beginning. I think that when I told my boss, hey, I'm starting this up because you told me I need to work on my speaking skills, he was like, okay, cool. And then he saw the first few videos, probably like you did, was like, yeah, I got nothing to worry about. You know what I mean? Like, this guy ain't going nowhere. But I mean, it was bad. It was bad. And it was kind of like a high school locker room type atmosphere at work. So it was a bunch of guys. And it happened every single week. Like, how many views did you get last night, Jay? Did you get 30 views yet? There was a lot of stuff like that. But that's what kind of fueled me, on the other hand, is because I like to be the guy to prove you wrong. Like, okay, you can go ahead and joke, but just wait a second. And as things started to progress, I can remember having future year-end reviews with the same boss that told me I need to work on it, and he would be asking me, when are you leaving? Because he just could kind of see it. You know what I mean? And that right there was like where I noticed, like, okay, I could probably make this something if I really focused on it. Right now, it's on the back burner, right? Daytime job is what feeds the family. This is what's really important to me. But when I heard people like that start to notice that it was getting better, that's when all of a sudden I went like all in on it. And that's when I went absolutely crazy. And I didn't think about it as a way to get better with public speaking or corporate speaking. I took it as like, okay, can I make this a future? I've been in business since I was 18 years old. So I was like, can I make this into a business? And I did not rush into it, right? I'm a little bit of the older age, so I didn't have the ability to just make decisions on a whim, right? I'm married and I have children. I couldn't just be like, oh, I'm going to quit my job and be a YouTuber at, 40 years old and just hopefully it works out. You know what I mean? That's just not, I couldn't do that at the time. So I had to build it in the background while still having a day job. And then once I built it and I could see that it would be sustainable, we had those conversations, you know what I mean?
Is that what drove you in those early days? Like, was that the intent to eventually like step into it full time? At what point did that become a possibility?
Probably after the second season. After 2018, I could see that, okay, our views went from 500 to 2,000. If I can keep making changes and improvements, can I go from 2,000 to 5,000? And if I can go to 5,000, what do I got to do to get to 20,000? All of a sudden I just started thinking of it more analytically, where before I was just doing it because, okay, I have to make these videos for these topics these days, but I wasn't even looking at the analytics in YouTube. To after 2018 is where I started to really dive into it.
Okay, so what were the tweaks, the experiments, I'm obsessing over this, like, what were the things you were doing that were moving the needle? You mentioned the SEO piece, title with them, like all those, but what were you seeing that was like really starting to turn the ship?
The more I upped my video and audio quality, the more people started to come. And I didn't overcomplicate anything. I went back to like bare bones topics where I was talking the same thing how we do now. Waiver wire, start and sit videos, rankings videos. That's what people want during fantasy football season. So I stopped being too cute with it. I upgraded my camera. I upgraded my microphone. I upgraded the background that's behind me. I tried to make a better first impression, right? And that's kind of like when you click on a video, and as we also got to remember too, like as time has progressed and content is all over YouTube that is much better quality, if I wasn't going to adapt and go that way, I wasn't going to grow. So I kind of saw that happening. There are one specific other YouTube channel out there that I kind of modeled myself after to like, okay, what changes are they making? What are they doing? What are their people in their comment section saying? I would go to their comment section, like, it'd be really nice if you guys would do this. And I'm like, well, maybe I could do that. You know what I mean? And just trying to build and give people something different. Because when you go and you look at rankings videos, there's 50 channels that make rankings videos. Like why would they watch some dude in a spare bedroom with a white wall and a 720p camera? Why are they going to listen to me? It looks like I don't know what I'm talking about. It looks like I'm brand new. I played this game for 20 years, but it looks like I don't know anything. So you really have to give that visually aesthetic, pleasing to the eye, product to the people. And once you do that, it's like it happened almost overnight. We had one viral video and I will never forget it because I was frustrated. I had a green sheet hanging on the wall behind me because I was trying to learn how to green screen and I didn't know what I was doing. So instead of trying to mess around with the green screen, I just left the green sheet up there and I made a normal video. And in 2018, I think that video got almost 300,000 views. I went from not getting anything over 2,000 views to 300,000 views on a video, and that just changed everything. Because once I kind of took that as, man, I stopped trying hard. People don't care if I can figure out how to green screen. They just want the information, and that changed everything. So from that point on, I was like, all right, like this is the change we're making, and it's been steady growth ever since.
That must have been like, because I mean, that's happened to me before too, at like whether it's social or YouTube or whatever, where it's like you have that one thing that pops off and it's so eerie. Like you can't plan for it. And I mean, it's very surreal, when that happens. And I mean, I also think it's important to recognize. So because you mentioned that was in 2018, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think I got these numbers here. You had around 28,000 subscribers at the 2018 season, but then the breakout season was really 2019. You gained 53,000, so like 200% on the channel. I think it's important to note, and I would love to know what you think led to the success, but from the outside looking in, that was also the time where you went beyond Jake and you brought on Taylor and Kyle. And I think that correlation is significant. do you attribute the growth of that to building the team? What other things do you attribute the growth in that season alone that was really your breakthrough year?
Right. At 110%. You think about it, one person can only do so much. If you start to add more people, you can do exponentially more work. So instead of me having a full-time job during the day and I'm not sleeping at night, I'm just trying to get out whatever I can. Now all of a sudden, if you have other people that can take some of that weight, all of a sudden the product becomes better because they're more invested into it, because they're not as burnt out or worn out at the time. Taylor is a graphic design genius, so he made everything look, better on camera. That was great for us. Kyle is somebody who worked for a different company, and then he invited me on his show, and that's when I met him. And then after that show, I was like, you know what? Like, why don't you just come over here and try to build something with me? And it's been a steady growth ever since. So yes, I attribute majority of this to actually having a team. The biggest thing though is, and it's probably one of the hardest things, don't just go out and employ your friends. You know what I mean? Like, you need to find people who are like-minded and are willing to obsess the same way that you're willing to obsess, because this is, I want to say, the easiest job I've ever had. There's a ton of stress and stuff that goes into it, but when you surround yourself with people who are the exact same as you, it really kind of like helps them shoulder the load a little bit. We've had people here before that come in, they just want to be YouTube famous and get rich quick. Like, that's not the mindset of this business. And if that's the mindset you want to have, you're not going to make it. Like, I hate to be that guy, but you got to have the ability to just obsess over it. And Kyle was the same way I was. Taylor is the same way. It doesn't matter what it is, what day it is, what time it is. Even to this day, 6 years later, 7 years later, if I contact one of them at 1:00 in the morning, they're going to do it. You know what I mean? Because like, they know that that's what's best for our future. And once you get them invested in the future, it kind of just snowballs, right? It's just about surrounding yourself with the right people. And if you're surrounding yourself with people who you have to babysit and who you have to like still follow up with everything on, it's not really helping you. It's probably hindering you. And I would rather have it be just me than to be hindered by someone else. So finding the right people is so important if you want to grow something to a larger type channel. I mean, maybe you just want to do like a travel blog and you want to carry your cell phone. That's one thing. But if you're like trying to do what we do, you need more than just one person.
Well, just to give you a little insight into my world, like, I'm firing up season 2 of my podcast, Making Varsity, and one of the decisions I made this season was like, I am gonna outsource my own editing, because I mean, I have clients and things like that, and I know if I don't do that, I'm always gonna put myself last because I'm trying to take care of everybody else. But by forcing myself to let go of the editing, even just that little piece of it, it puts me in that place where it's like, this is the thing that only I can do. And that was one of the principles I learned from one organization I worked for, is only do what only you can do. And right now, only I can have this conversation with you, right? But there are so many other things that I can let go of, and you can start small. And that's exactly what you did too. I think at first, like Taylor, you were just having him do thumbnails. And then, right, it evolved into the draft guide and some editing and some of those things. So it's like, you don't have to let go of the baby like all at once. It's like you can let go of little pieces, and then now look at you guys. I mean, there's 3 or 4 of you full time, and a number of other contractors working with you as well. And I look at that like at correlating with building the team.
Well, because now all of a sudden you have time by handing that off. You have more time to be more creative. And you have more time to, oh man, I got to sit here and edit this for the next hour. Now that hour that you have, you can come up with ideas or create content or do something else with it that's going to better the business. And that's where it's really hard, is just like, man, I don't want to for the longest time, like, I didn't want to give anybody access to the YouTube channel. Like, I'm like, nope, nobody else can come in here except for me. And now it's just like, all of a sudden, like, it's to the point where, oh, Kyle, can you please go do that for me? Like, I'll just hand it off, because it's such a relief to be able, I got to finish this. Can somebody else go do this? And it's hard at first because it's like your baby, right? You worked so hard to create something. You don't want to have somebody else risk it. And that's where it just comes back to just having the right people to bring into the team with you. And that's super hard, by the way. That is probably, I find it easier to hire people in a corporate setting than I do for YouTube, because everybody's mindset is just different coming into YouTube because they think that this is just like, oh my gosh, I've made it. And that's just
Yeah.
not how it is.
And for me, I'm like, it was such a cool opportunity because, like, you know, I'm an entrepreneur and I have a business, and so for me, this was an opportunity. For me, it wasn't so much about the financial aspect of it. I said yes to it because it was like, man, I get to learn, like I get to lean in and learn, and that was the thing that was made it such an easy yes for me. And you're right, like, it was a perfect example. Like what the way I saw my role this year in this is that, you know, rankings videos, there's 18 of them, there's 4 a week. I mean, so, you know, what we ended up doing, I think I ended up doing 80 or 90 videos, you know, over the course of a few weeks. But after a while, like, those are pretty repetitive. And the only do what only you can do principle is, like, you guys, like, have the research and the analytics, and just to have that little bit of pressure lifted off of, like, actually, like, delivering, you know, actually just delivering the videos. What that freed you up to do was to go and do some of the stuff with the brand deal that we had with Underdog, and, you know, some of the, you know, the sports betting pieces and some of the other creative takes and lottery tickets that you were able to do. And it was really, really cool to kind of see that, of like, wow, like, you really have been able to kind of take your hands off of those other pieces. And of course, like, you're the favorite, like, right? Like, all the guys miss you. Where's Jake? You know, but it was really, really cool to, like, feel like I could be part of a team, and knowing that, like, man, that's going to free Jake up to work on the business, not so much just being in it, you know?
Yep. And I think the hard part too is just like you said, it was like one piece, it became kind of repetitive. And I remember having a conversation before we started, like, I want to make sure this is something that you enjoy and that you want to do. The last thing that I want to do is overload somebody, and by week 7, they're like, you know what, dude, this isn't working. And then all of a sudden I have to rework everything. So it's like breadcrumbs, right? I'm just going to give you a little bit at a time until you say, okay, that's enough. And then we scale it back just enough to where everyone is comfortable and everybody's having a good time, because I don't want this to feel like a job for the people who are here. I don't really have the luxury of ever turning it off. Like, I'm always 24/7 working on something, but I don't want it to feel like that for everyone. I made that decision for me. I'm not going to make that decision for someone else unless they tell me that, hey, I want to get to that point. And I don't want somebody saying, oh man, I'm too burned out. And we're talking football, right? Like, this is supposed to be fun. Let's make sure it stays fun, and let's all make a living at it while we're doing it.
So as you were building it, like you said, you mentioned, like, you had a really solid corporate job. I mean, lead engineer, you know, at a Fortune 500 company. I mean, like, there was and you said your boss was even coming to you like, when are you leaving? Tell me what went into that decision to push all your chips in on the table? And I'm sure there were a lot of conversations with your wife. Like, tell me just about that process, because I think that whole thing is fascinating. I think a lot of people face that, where maybe they have a passion, something that they're, you know, excited about, maybe something that they want to build, you know, on the second shift late at night. What went into that decision to go all in on fantasy headliners, and how did you know the timing was right?
Well, I mean, our faith played a big part in that. I'm very big on taking leaps of faith. Like, I'm not afraid. We moved from Arizona to North Carolina for me to take that job that you mentioned. I didn't even have an engineering degree. I had no idea what my salary was going to be. I didn't have a place to live, but I agreed to it and I accepted it, and I moved across country. And it forced me to, like, self-teach myself, and I was going to make it work. And the same type of thing with this, right? Like, I'm not going to be stupid and rush into something, but I ran the business on the back end. I could see all the numbers, and we went to, like, full bare bones mode, right? Me and my wife said, obviously she's been very supportive. It was her idea from the beginning to start the channel. So, I mean, she's been supportive of it. She sees it. And we said, we got to scale back everything. Like, we got rid of everything. Like, we refinanced the house. We got rid of one of the cars. We only had one car forever. We cut back all of our bills. And we said, all right, we're going to cut it back as much as we possibly can. And then I'm going to leave my job, and I'm going to go all in all day long on this, and we'll see what happens. It wasn't even half a season later, and we were buying everything back again. You know, I mean, it was the fact of, now I had my full attention. Now I didn't have to go to work all day long. Now I got to go downstairs in my office and work right there, and I could get so much more done, whether it's advertising calls or create more content, get more stuff done, work with Taylor and Kyle more frequently. It freed me up from everything. And by having that extra time that I could invest into it, it just returned it. So do I believe that this is what my calling was? I honestly kind of do. And I feel weird saying that. That's probably the first time I've ever said that out loud, by the way. Because like I can remember going to work and I loved the job that I had and I loved the people I worked with and it was a great career. But I can always remember driving home numerous times. I told this to my wife probably somehow in some form or fashion. I just don't feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. Like I feel like there's supposed to be more. Like I feel like I'm supposed to reach more people and I just don't know how to do that. And then it kind of turned into this without me even knowing it. And now I can look back at it and be like, hey, maybe this is what I was feeling back then. But I think that a lot of people go through life and they don't take those leaps of faith. They don't believe in themselves. And if you don't believe in yourself, you're never going to find the success that you want. If you believe in yourself, honestly, I don't care what college degree you have. I don't care what your job is. If you have a work ethic and you believe in yourself, I don't think that there's anything that you wouldn't be able to do, and that's just my mindset. It's been that way since I was younger. Like I'm going to figure it out. I will find a way to do it. And I just think that if we could get more people in that mindset of, I can do this. I believe in myself. I believe in my own work ethic. I believe in what I have to offer. I think that we would see a lot more people chasing the dreams that they want to chase instead of just being like, I could never do that. I don't know how he does that. I could never do that. But could you? Like, I never thought I could talk on video for 3,500 shows 10 years ago. And there wasn't even a thought in my mind. You know what I mean? And it's not me. It's not just me. I'm nothing overly special when it comes to that. It was just like, I believed in myself. And I think if you believe in yourself, it's just a matter of time, right? Because you're going to put the most effort and the best effort into what you believe in the most.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that so much, man. And I mean, you mentioned your wife, your family, like that's a high value for you. You're a man of faith as well. And I mean, you've even alluded to it like, man, the NFL season it's intense, right? I mean, you're working around the clock for really about 22 weeks there. And I'd love to know, like, talk to me a little bit about some of the things, the practices that you've put into place to avoid burnout. And then how do you view as a creator those seasons of like hustle, but then rest, which this is a rest season for you now. There was no way I was getting you on this show 5 weeks ago.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. No.
But now is a season of rest. So I mean, talk to me about how you approach that part of it.
It took time, right? Because like, how do you go from going full blast 100% to zero? Because when the fantasy football season ends, our view totals go way down. That's expected. We know that's going to happen. It happens every single year. It's nothing to freak out about. And for the longest time, like, okay, the season's over. Now let's start creating videos on this. Let's do 5 videos a week and we'll try to chase this. And after a while, we just saw that the growth wasn't there. And we were putting in so much time and effort for very little return that's where the business mind all of a sudden comes back in and back. If we're not getting the return for the hours invested, it's probably not worth our time. But we also know that we can't just disappear for 6 months. If we want to stay at the top of the YouTube, search algorithm for fantasy football, we have to continue to stay out there. So we've scaled back to maybe 2 or 3 videos a week, maybe. Probably leaning closer to 2 because it's not really beneficial right now. And it gives everybody that opportunity to rest. We don't see our families a whole lot for, 5 months. I mean, obviously I have the luxury of working at home. So like they're here, but like we don't get to go do things. We don't get to go on vacations. We don't get to, go away for the weekend. I can't go away for the weekend. I got to watch football on Sunday, and a lot of people like laugh at that, but it's just like, that's my job. Like I have to watch it. I can't talk about it if I don't watch it. So even though it sounds stupid, like that's like, I can't be gone for Sundays. We go to church Sunday mornings and I got to be home after church service because the game started at 1 p.m. and I got to be there. Sorry, I can't go to lunch. You know what I mean? And it's just little things like that a lot of people may not think about, but being able now to see the big picture. And I think once you connect like content creation to the business aspect and you kind of like see it from two different angles, it becomes a lot easier to make those decisions. Because by me scaling back 3 episodes in the off season, the amount of revenue that the channel is going to lose is so minimal that it's not worth the excess burnout to the creator itself, whether it's me or Kyle or whoever. It's not worth it, right? It's just like you added stress to an individual and got a couple bucks for it. Like, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. I'd rather people just be engaged in Discord with the members who pay all year long, because that's just a conversation anyway. That's super easy to do. That's way more simple than creating a video. So I think having that opportunity to rest is super important, because I still get burnt out every single year. Me and Kyle and Taylor have a group text, and by week 16 every year, we are counting down the shows that we have left, because we're like, oh my gosh, I don't know how much longer I can go. But we all go through it together, right? So we all understand each other because we kind of speak the same language when it comes to burnout. We've gotten better at it over the years, just because we've had things streamlined a little bit more and more. Like, we added another editor. You came on this year. Like, that's just, things that have taken things off of our plate to reduce that stress level a little bit.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, I want to do a couple just little quick hits on YouTube strategy really quick. I know the 0 to 1,000 subscriber threshold, big deal. What are kind of 1 or 2 pieces of advice given to new creators to get from 0 to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube?
Thumbnails and titles are most important. That's probably one. Making sure that you have a clear vision of what the video is going to be. Stay away from the clickbait type of stuff. That's not going to build you an audience. That'll get you views on one video, but they won't stay. So that's the biggest issue, is a lot of people trying to create that viral video right off the bat. And if you get it, that's great. But maybe it got you a couple hundred subscribers, but they're not going to stay. They're there because of that one video, and then they're probably going to end up leaving. So try to build the community. Focus on community first. Make sure you're clear with the delivery of what it is that you're going to give them, and then stick to it. Hey, I'm going to come up with a video every Friday. I'm going to tell you the best things to do to grow the grass in your backyard, whatever it is. And then you better be sure every Friday there's a new video there, because if you're promising something to an audience, you got to deliver it, right? And if you don't want to attach yourself to a certain day, you can say, I'm going to be doing 2 videos a month. Then all of a sudden it doesn't attach it to a certain day. But just be sure that you're consistent, you're clear with it, and that your thumbnails and your titles are super important. Do not be afraid. I use ChatGPT all the time. And AI, as much as it can be irritating, if nothing else, it is a great sounding board for ideas if you don't have someone else to bounce them off of. So I can go into ChatGPT and I can be like, listen, I need 25 titles that are going to capitalize on this, topic. And I need it to be something that's going to catch the viewer's attention. Be detailed with it, right? Just act like you're having a conversation, and it will spit out ideas. You may not use any of them, but maybe it triggers something in your creative mind of like, I could do this. And having ideas like that is great, because if you think about it, whether you're on a desktop or a mobile device, what's going to make you click on a video? It's going to probably be the thumbnail or the title. You know what I mean? Because you're going to search for something, you're going to see the title. Now, a lot of times people will see an issue of like, yeah, well, my thumbnail and my title are great, but nobody's going to click on my video because it has 36 views. Why are they going to click on a video that has 36 views when the one right below me has 57,000? You know what I mean? And that's just a mindset you got to get by. It doesn't matter. That view total can climb in an hour. So don't obsess with that kind of stuff. Just stay true to what it is you're trying to create.
So when you say a thumbnail, what makes a great thumbnail?
You don't want it to be too busy, right? You don't want to have text and stuff all over the place, like where it's just like, because when you get on a mobile device, it's so small, you can't read it anyway. So you're just like, if I want something that's going to be easily like noticeable on both a phone and a computer. So if I can't read it on a phone, I'm not going to use it.
Yep.
A lot of people want to use a picture of their face or something. That's cool. I mean, I have no issues with that kind of stuff, but just making sure, brighter colors, minimal text, a brief description maybe of what the video is about, right? You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a
3-4
player
words
like
max.
Right. Yeah, just something simple and not over the top. Taylor, there's actually a function on YouTube now where you can test thumbnails, which is great. You can upload multiple thumbnails and you'll see which one performs the best. So we tried doing that over the last year and a half. That's okay, doesn't give you really enough information for our side to really change, because we can't really change a whole lot, right? If we're talking about waiver wire and a player, it's a player picture, it's 2 words, and that's about it, right? And some bright colors. Try to make sure that whatever is in the video is at the very beginning of the title. Like if you're talking, you don't want to have a long title, but the topic is cut off at the end because you don't see it. Like that's a huge thing that a lot of people do. I always try to load my descriptions of the video with what the video is about. So if I have a title of a video, all those words are going to be worked into a paragraph and in sentence form in my description as well, because I want it to be clear. Here's the title. Well, the description matches what the title is. The thumbnail is clear, but like there's no confusion, right? Keep it as simple as you can and streamline it.
And I want to speak to all the graphic designers out there, and I want you to lean in and I want you to hear me now. This is a channel that is 250,000 subscribers, and it is built on the back of Canva. That's right.
Yeah,
Canva.
Free Canva.
Listen to me. Taylor is a legitimate graphic designer.
Mm-hmm.
Like he knows how to use the Adobe. He knows how to use the Adobe suite. He uses Canva on this channel because of the user functionality. Jake, I can't tell you how many designers I talk to who are overly romantic about the tools that they use. And they say things like, oh, Canva's whack, or oh, Canva's for novices, or whatever. Cool. Say that all you want. But this is a prime example of, does it get the job done? Is it an easy lift? And that was one of the things, like when I kind of got into the back end, and especially like with the format, kind of the UI of the videos, if you will, the design, it was like, oh my gosh, this whole thing is like built on the back of Canva. And I'm like, I love that. Like, I love that so much, you know?
Yeah. And we, for the longest time, everything we were using were free programs. I would use a free editing program. We had Canva. I wasn't paying for any of that kind of stuff. And yeah, sure, there are times where Taylor will use other programs to do other things. But for the most part, sometimes he's doing Canva on his phone and it's still working. You know what I mean? So it's just, don't go out there and overdo it. People don't care as much as you think they care. You know what I mean? It's not going to be astronomically different between the Adobe suite or Canva to the point of where you're not going to get clicks on it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that, man. All right. One final question. When you step back and you look at where Fantasy Headliners is now, heading into your 10th season next season, when you look back on all that you've been able to build with the team, what would you say is the thing that you're most proud of?
Probably being that we've stayed true to ourselves, like I mentioned before. I mean, and this is common knowledge, common sense to a lot of people. If I wanted to have more clicks, more views, more subscribers, if I wanted to have girls in bikinis on my thumbnails, if I wanted to, just do different stuff like that, if I wanted to be more risky in the video, I could do that, and I could capitalize on it, and I could get probably double the subscriber base. But being that we were able to grow to where we are, and I don't want to change what we are, is probably what I'm most proud of, because I look at it this way. We are all happy with what we have. Why sell out just to have more? And that's probably something that a lot of people would probably want to do, right? They want to have more views. They want to have more subscribers. They're obsessed with that number. And what you got to remember is you don't get paid based off of subscribers on YouTube. You get paid based off of views. And I would rather have consistent views than sell out who we are just to get more. And it's just not who we are. It's not who we're ever, as long as I'm in charge, it's not who we're ever going to be. And it's probably something that just comes from my old school mentality, right? I'm not a normal 20-year-old creator, being almost 45 now. That's disgusting to say. I'm not ready. I'm not going to sell out at this point in my life.
Yeah. I love that, man. Jake, thank you so much. I appreciate you, man. It's an honor to be part of the team. We got to get you out of here. I know you're on rest. We got Disney World around the corner.
I'm going golfing this afternoon.
Got a tea time to get to. Come on, somebody. But bro, I appreciate you. Hey, make sure everybody go check out the Fantasy Headliners channel. Like, subscribe, all the things. And we'll make sure to drop everything in the description below. And Jake, thanks so much for joining us today.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it.
Hey fam, thanks so much for joining us on Making Varsity. If you enjoyed this week's content, make sure to tap that subscribe button, share it with a friend, and turn on your notifications so you never miss an episode. For more resources, make sure to check out the description below and feel free to drop us a comment. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.